I believe my second video will be a short and sweet one. This is going to be one of those things where you have to say, oh, quick, look, be surprised. Proof it is rigged, Silver Doctors. Fed moved 93% of the entire stock market since 2008. A new analyst from economist Brian Barnier shows that while future GDP, household debt from credit cards, and tech accounted for past bubbles in American history, the bubble that has risen since Obama became president is due to one and only one factor: the Federal Reserve. Fact: the Federal Reserve has screwed over the country. Monetary policy has been the single most important factor in the economy for some time. A new analysis from economist Brian Barnier shows, which I guess they're repeating the same thing, it's the Federal Reserve, in the private banking cartel, which masquerades as a public government institution, has become plenty controversial for its ties to elite hidden agendas and its debasement of the economy. However, few Americans realize just how huge and detrimental this institution has become. In the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, the Fed, then chaired by Ben Bernanke, began an unprecedented quantitative easing program that literally changed everything. During the last 8 years, monetary policy has completely upended the economy and concentrated wealth into fewer and fewer hands, while making it more and more difficult for ordinary Americans to stay afloat. This intervention has gone way too far and has driven up a particularly unstable bubble that is ready to burst. Through quantitative easing and bond purchases, the Federal Reserve managed to double the S&P 500 value in the Dow for the most part, while more than doubling its own balance sheet in the process. And as Yahoo Finance reported, the factors behind that and previous bubbles can be illuminated using simple visual analysis of a chart. The S&P 500 doubled in value from November 2008 to October 2014, coinciding with the Federal Reserve Bank's quantitative easing asset purchasing program. After 3 rounds of QE, where the Fed poured billions of dollars into the bond market monthly, the Fed's balance sheet went from $2.1 trillion to $4.5 trillion. This isn't just a spurious correlation, according to economist Brian Barnier, principal at Value Bridge Advisors and founder of FedDashboard.com. What's more, he says previous bull runs in the market lasting several years can also be explained by single factors each time. As the financial crisis reached a fevered pitch in 2008, the Federal Reserve took to flooding the financial market with dollars by buying up bonds. Simultaneously, interest rates fell dramatically as bond yields move in the opposite direction of bond prices. Barnier sees the Fed as responsible for over 93% of the stock market move since the start of QE until today. During the first half of 2013, the Fed caused the entire market's growth, he said. Barnier, who compiled this data analysis, dubbed this the era of the Fed, and this ill-reputed institution has been more responsible than any other factor, including the 2008 financial crisis, for how bad the economy has gotten for average Americans, college graduates seeking careers, and small businesses. So while you may think, you college grads, old Bernie Sanders is going to take care of you. You know those commercials? You see it. I don't drink beer often, but when I do, I drink Dos Equis. I saw one the other day that was epic. It was fantastic for Bernie Sanders. I don't always drink beer, but when I do, it's someone else's. It's someone else's. That's exactly right. That's the Bernie Sanders socialist economy. That's how that's going to work, because that's how all socialist economies work. As many analysts have discussed before, this unprecedented intervention has distorted and warped the American experience. Savers, pensioners, and investors have all taken harsh blows as the interest rate held at zero, and even dipped into negative, forcing some customers to pay for deposits and others to take a haircut on their life savings and retirement packages. How are you liking that American dream? The Federal Reserve, the octopus with all the tentacles, is responsible for this mess. And now you know why Bernanke jumped ship and they put a female in charge. That might be the first time ever, to tell you the truth. Matter of fact, let's think about this. First female, I think, I could be wrong, but if I'm not, just bear with me because I haven't actually. Matter of fact, again, we got the internet at our disposal. First female Federal Reserve Chairman. Yes. She would be replace outgoing Chair Ben Bernanke and be the first woman to serve in this capacity. So, first time of that. Okay, now let's go to first female Department of Justice. Annette Abbott Adams, the first female assistant. No, we don't want an assistant. Because right now we have Loretta Lynch, right? So, first American Department of Justice, yeah. It's looking like she might be it, from what I can see here. Yeah, here we go. Loretta Lynch becomes first African-American woman Attorney General. And from what else I can see, maybe the first woman Attorney General, period. And now we have a female president running. I wonder who's set to win that race. Female president, female attorney general, female Federal Reserve, right? And they can have all these females in charge when the American ship finally sinks. All the men are out. We put the women in charge, and look what happened, man. They're going to now blame it on women. So, don't be surprised. You shouldn't be surprised. Federal Reserve, privately owned institution created in 1913. And it's not interesting that all of the world wars were only done after the year 1913. And the first one, hell, just a few years from the time that was created. A few years later, we have the First World War. Then we have the Second World War. We've been able to hold off that Third World War for a while, haven't we? Although we've had these little interim wars and the Korean War, Vietnam, all that crap. But now it's time for another big one. Because again, interest rates are down near zero. But we raised it 0.25%. Yeah, okay. The rest of the world is saying we're going to go negative. Would we be the only ones who don't? China, if they announce a huge devaluation, it's game over for everybody else, especially us. This can't possibly be dealt with, in my opinion, another 7 years. They've already used all the, like they say, tools in the toolbox. They've already used them. The only one left, literally, is the whole negative interest rate. And what the hell is that going to do? You're going to destroy pensions and retirements even worse. So, again, I can see them putting women here, women there, in my opinion, so that when the ship goes down, all these women were in charge. Giving you someone to point the finger at who was essentially handed over the job. The ship's already sinking. I've been the captain for a very long time. I'm going to jump off right now. You're going to be in charge for a tiny period of time, and the ship's going to go down with you. You'll be the one that they won't even look at me. Or so they think. You don't think anyone's going to look at Ben Bernanke? Ben, you started the QE policy, correct? Yes. QE 1, 2, and 3, correct? Yes. Exactly. So they can try to escape all they want. We live in the world with the internet now, where information is retained online. It's everywhere. We do have quick access to get this information. History is now being stored online, so we can all go back at any time and see exactly who did what in 2008 and who's in charge and who did that and who replaced it. You don't have to wonder anymore. You don't have to go trying to, hire someone to look up this information. This is so easy for anyone to do it now. So they can put women in charge, black people. We're gonna have a black, right? Loretta Lynch is black and she's a woman, and Barack Obama was black, and Eric Holder before, in the Department of Justice, he was black. Oh, great, we're getting out of this whole racism thing finally. right. It means nothing. What's that? What was that I was saying? Everything's a white man's war. Everything's a rich man's something. I can't think of that. Let me see if I can find that. Everything is a rich man's trick. Everything is a rich man's trick. Top documentary films. That's I saw this actually a long time ago. It's actually worth mentioning. I don't know if I even mentioned this, and then if I didn't, I don't know why I would have never mentioned this. This was a very good documentary for what I recall. It's 3.5 hours. It's called JFK to 9/11. Everything is a rich man's trick. 8.6 out of 10 for as far as documentaries go. It's got 2.5 million views. Was released in 2014. Topdocumentaryfilms.com. It's again 8.6 out of 10 stars. So if you want to watch something interesting and you got some serious amount of time on your hands, JFK to 9/11. Everything is a rich man's trick. Matter of fact, let me just copy that. Copy shortcut. I'll go ahead and post a link for you in the description box. Take care.